He's giving the class today, but he's arriving a little late. He's driving from Sacramento, so he's running 30 minutes behind. So we'll just do some Kirtans and do some reading and once he arrives, then he will give the class. So we'll sing Jayarada Madhavan, some Hare Krishna Kirtan. Can I get a mridanga? If there is no mridanga player. Yeah. Or Balram, if you can play. Yeah, anybody can play. Whoever. So just to update quickly, Mukunda Prabhu will be here shortly. Until then we'll do some Kirtans and reading. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Jaya Prajajana Ranjana Jaya Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, So we'll start with the Mangalacharan. So I'm just here for maybe 10 or 15 more minutes before Mukunda Prabhu arrives. So he's he's coming a little because of some traffic. He's driving from Sacramento, so he's just got delayed by half an hour. So I thought today is a festival of Gundicha March, and I thought we'll read something from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So before that, we'll read the Mangalacharan. We can recite it together. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sahajatam Sahagana Raghunatvam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Shri Vishakamitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya eva ca Patitanamebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll read from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. chapter 12, starting from verse 72, or text 72. So, Gundicha Marjan, of course, many of you know the pastime. So, what does it signify to you, the Gundicha Marjan? Because we'll read some of the details of the pastime. Anything that, yes, around the couple. 70. 1270. Is there a mic? We can get to Ramanatha Kapil. Can we get a mic to the person who set up the whole system?
Gundicha Marjanam signifies cleaning the heart.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other thoughts anyone wants to add? Shamru, Prabhu, and answer Priya Mataji.
So Gundicha Marjan also we see how all the devotees living all their higher, lower, different background, they all work together for only one purpose, that is to please Lord Chaitanya. And even when they were doing the Marjanam, the cleaning, they were all chanting Hari Hari, Krishna Krishna. There was no other thing that was going on. So that is
wonderful. Thank you. Answer Priya Mataji.
I was going to also mention that actually even cleaning seems hard, because I think we probably raise, parents wants you to clean your rooms to start with, right? So the cleaning, we actually take it whole differently. But when I wanted to chime in, saying what Sharma Prabhu said, that you know how they were actually in ecstasy, they were chanting Hari Hari, but then I was also thinking there's so many pastimes also you can see where that that Bengali Brahmana takes the water from the Lord's feet, and so how fun it can be also cleaning. And to me, the most point that I like is that no matter how much cleaning that they have done, but still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finds more dirt. And it just kind of gives you hope not to give up. Because the minute you think that I'm at some stage and I'm okay, or I'm doing best I can, but actually it shows you that there's still long further ways to go. So.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Kennedy.
Hare Krishna. I love how in the story he's cleaning with his own clothes. And so it's this aspect of putting this personal touch to it and inspiring others with that personal touch.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is Gundicha Marjan pastime. It signifies, as all of you said, the cleansing of the heart, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows by his personal example. And very nice points how devotees work cooperatively with him to clean the temple. Of course, this happens before the Rath Yatra and in preparation for the Rath Yatra. And of course, in our conditioned state, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, 3rd chapter, that lust is the cause of fall down. Kama yesha krodesha rajoguna samadbhava mahashana mahapapma viddhiyenam hevairina. Krishna says that is the most sinful enemy of the world, that it causes the conditioned souls to fall down. And Prabhupada in the purport very beautifully writes that The love for God is actually transformed into lust because of the association with the mode of the living entity is pure. The jiva is pure, spiritual entity. But then when it comes in contact with the material mode of passion on Rajoguna, then what happens is that love for God or Krishna prema gets transformed into kama or lust. And again from Chaitanya Charitamrita only, if you go to Adi Leela chapter 4, I think it's 165, which gives the definition of what is love and what is lust. Verse number 16. Is it? It's a very nice verse which says Atmendriya Priti Vancha Tare Balikama Krishnendriya Priti Icha Dhara Dhare Prema Nama. So the translation: the desire to gratify one's own senses is kama, lust, but the desire to please the senses of the Lord Krishna is prema, love. So in the conditional state, materially conditional state, basically, because of the association, the living entities in association with the mode of passion, they are geared towards lust or kama, which is satisfying their own senses. But then this lust can be transformed back again into Krishna prema or pure love by the cleansing process. And the cleansing process is defined as Cheto Darpana Marjana, which is starting with the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, and that's how the cleansing process starts. So now we will read this pastime. It signifies this cleansing of the heart, because once the heart is clean, then we can actually invite Radha and Krishna into our heart, because we want to invite the Lord of all the living entities into our hearts, and for that the heart has to be clean. So this whole process of cleansing, which is also called as Anartha Nivritti, is one of the stages on the path of bhakti. As Rupa Goswami says, it all starts with a little bit of faith, and then you invest that faith in the association of devotees. And then from the association of devotee comes Bhajana Kriya, which is engaging in chanting, hearing and chanting primarily. At least it begins there. And then from that hearing and chanting, what happens? There is Anartha Nivritti, or the cleansing process. So once the heart is clean, of course there are different stages, Rupa Goswami says that, but then we get more and more fixed in devotional service, then we experience the taste in devotional service, and then we become attached to Krishna, and then there is preliminary emotions, and then there is full-blown love of Godhead. So Rupa Goswami gives this ladder, the stages of bhakti. So this cleansing of the Gundicha margin, it represents this whole cleansing of the heart. So we'll read some verses from here, and then we'll have some more discussions. Can you change to the chapter view? Madhya Leela, chapter 12. Verse number 72. Then go to verse number 72. It's Madhya Leela 12. I'm not able to see from here, but okay, it's 12. Yeah. So I'll read a few verses, and then we can maybe take turns to read few verses, and then we can pause for some discussions. And by the time Mukunda Prabhu will arrive. So I'll just read the translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first of all called for Kashi Mishra, then for the superintendent of the temple, then for Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When these three people came before the Lord, he begged them for permission to wash the temple known as Gundicha. Then go to the next translation. And if time permits, we'll read the translations till text number 135, and Prabhupada would have given, or 134 or 135. No, we can continue here, And then once we reach 134, then we'll read the purport of 134. Upon hearing the Lord's request for permission to wash the Gundicha temple, the Badicha, the superintendent of the temple, said, "My dear sir, we are all your servants. Whatever you desire is our duty to perform." Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Lord himself, but he shows by his own personal example, how to be humble. And he is requesting here the permission of the superintendent to clean the temple. The king gave a special order for me to do without delay whatever your lordship orders. My dear Lord, washing the temple is not service befitting you. Nonetheless, if you wish to do so, it is to be accepted as one of your pastimes. To wash the temple, you need many water pots and brooms. Therefore, order me. I can immediately bring all these things to you. So this is the superintendent replying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord himself is engaged in this cleansing process to show the importance of the cleansing process. Of course, Rishabhdev also says, the prime duty of all humanity is purification. Is to purify our hearts, is to purify our existence. That's a goal of life. And human body is very valuable, and even more valuable is someone who understands the purpose of human life. The purpose of human life is not to just act, focus our activities and energy in just eating, mating, sleeping and defending, but to actually engage it in a higher purpose, which is to realize the self and realize the supreme self, Krishna. So we have Mukunda Datta Prabhu here, so I'll... Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपरकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मद्गभीरवि गोपाल स्वीकुर्यात् कृपया यदि तदैवासां भयः पीत्वा कृष्येयुस्तत्प्रिया जनाः। This is Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, savior of the modern world. And we have Chapter 4, entitled Transcendental Knowledge, and we're on text 10, a favorite verse. Vitaragha bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashrataha bahavo jnana tapasa putamadbhavamagataha. In the interest of saving time, I'm just going to repeat the translation, and then the purport is a little bit long. So, Krishna says, being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As described above, it's very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it's almost impossible for them to understand how the Supreme can be a person. Such materialists cannot even imagine that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Can you all see this behind me? Is it being displayed? Okay, so then maybe we should pause every so often and then make a comment here. First of all, that's why Buddhism is so popular, because nobody wants to be a person. Every experience, practically speaking, I think especially here in the Bay Area, is dysfunctional. All relationships. You know, they can't even decide how many genders there are anymore. So, you know, the people get so burnt out with sense gratification, over sense gratification, that they just want time out. And that's, in Sanskrit, time out is called nirvana. So that's what they want. Nirvana means to snuff out the lamp. Over and out. You can get yourself into such a space. King Mukunda, despite all of his great qualifications, he ended up in a situation where he just wanted to go to sleep. And that's all. He asked for the benediction. Let me just kill anybody who wakes me up. So it can happen. And if you've been in Saturn, you know already how bad it can get. So therefore, they kind of shy away from this idea. Have you noticed that? People, I like to be spiritual but not religious. That's a very popular one. What I don't know, what is it? It's vague. We don't know what it means. Because it means whatever they want it to mean. So really it means that I'm in charge. I don't have anybody to answer to. That's what it means, actually. So, such materialists cannot even imagine that there's a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. And the material life is the opposite. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. Yes, that's what it means. Avajananti ma mudha. If you're a mudha and you suffer as a result of being a mudha, then when you're told that Krishna is a person like you, then you think, okay, that means Krishna's another mudha. That's basically what it is. So they don't believe it, and so they shy away from spiritual personality. For such materialistic men, the form of the gigantic material manifestation is supreme. This is another one. I want to be a pantheist, right? Have you heard this? I follow some deistic or pantheistic view. It's impersonalism. Consequently, they consider the Supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. So that's the first thing we're talking about. What are the three vitas? Vita raga, vita bhaya, vita krodha. These things have to be transcended. Vita means to be free from that. So bhaya, raga is the first one, sorry. But bhaya is there. And this is what Prabhupada says. When they're informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again, and so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to the bubbles of the ocean, which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection of spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. This is a kind of fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Therefore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all. Anyone know the amazing verse in Bhagavad-gita? What's the amazing verse? Chapter 2? Some look upon? Who say this? Aage bolo. Or Jose. Shame on you. Ashcharyavat? Vadati tachaiva chanya? Or? Even hearing about him, or it, they prefer, they don't understand anything at all. And he says the same thing again in chapter 15. Who knows that one? If you're following this process, Krishna says, you can see everything very clearly. But if you're not following, then you can't understand even though you try to. You can't understand it. This is mystical. It's revealed knowledge. And it's only revealed to those persons that Krishna chooses, just like Facebook. Later. You push the later button, right? Do they still have that? I haven't used Facebook in a decade, so I don't know. Just like all these people who are checking out of AI nowadays, right? Anyway, so this is the problem. So he continues. Furthermore, there are people who cannot understand spiritual existence at all. Being embarrassed by so many theories and by contradictions of various types of philosophical speculation, they become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. What's that? We've talked about fear so far. Which one is this of the three? Yeah, krodha. It's frustration, really. It's not anger so much, but it's definitely frustration. You see so many things, it's like, I remember when Asta television first came out in India. One day it's the Buddhist, and the next day it's Osho, and then it's Amachi, and then it's ISKCON, and then it's, Jagat Guru, what is his name, that Coimbatore businessman? Yeah, okay, so yeah. So, even a theologian will become confused. Hey. And then, in addition to that, this balloon is creating a disturbance. It's very cute, but it's distracting. So, yeah, good luck. Anyway, and in addition to all the, better let her have it, and I just have to tolerate. In addition to all the contradictions and the different things that we can't understand, and then what do you see on top of that? When you look at the people who are preaching these things, what do you see in their lives? Hypocrisy! And that's another thing that makes us angry, isn't it? We're just trying to be spiritual, we're looking for spiritual life, and what do you get? Just cheating and hypocrisy, mainly. So this is what Prabhupada is talking about here in the purport. It's in full panoply in material existence. So this is, such people are in a diseased condition of life. So now Prabhupada is beginning the repetition. One of the things I like about this purport, he just says a few things that are in the verse, but he explains them and he keeps repeating it to make sure that we get it. We'll talk more about that in a moment. So, some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. This is raga. Just attachment to sense gratification, pure and simple. Be an animal. It's like I saw a billboard. Feed your need. This is the encouragement. Feed your need. It's like, trough over here. Anyway, so some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. Some of them want to merge into the supreme spiritual cause, whatever that is, and some of them just disbelieve in everything. Being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. It's so sad. If somebody wants spiritual life and the only thing that's available is all this nonsense that's vague and doesn't really... I myself read at least 5 or 6 editions, a dozen editions of Bhagavad-gita in English before I got Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita as it is. And I couldn't understand those editions of Bhagavad-gita, mainly because the publishers didn't understand their editions. Because it's not paramparagat. If it's not paramparagat, then, who could, there's all kinds of contradiction in there. And there's all kinds of vagueness, and they're not interested in that because it's not required to make a living off of people's faith, which is what cheaters do. So, anyway, thereby some people just give up altogether. I've heard so many things, I've seen so many things, they just forget about it. Just let me take shelter. And Prabhupada says, this last class of men takes shelter of some kind of intoxication, courtesy the CCP is being imported in great numbers, fentanyl in this country, is it not? So, out of hopelessness, they take shelter, and their affective hallucinations are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. One has to get rid of all 3 stages of attachment to the material world: negligence of spiritual life, fear of a spiritual personal identity, and the conception of void that arises from frustration in life. To get free from these 3 stages of the material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles. This is another reason people they want to go to some rascal who's telling them, oh, you can do anything you want and you'll still become self-realized. It doesn't work like that. Can you do anything you want and you still get a double PhD? No, it doesn't work like that. So, we have to take shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional life. This last stage of devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of Godhead. Now, the next half of the purport, Srila Prabhupada very kindly gives us the positive alternative. He says, and this is courtesy of Rupa Goswami and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Eastern Ocean, 4th Wave, verses 15 and 16. He says, the science of devotional service is Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Atha Bhajano Kriya Tato Nartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishtarachis Tataha Atha Saktis Tato Bhavas Tata Prema Bhyadanchati Sadhakanam Ayam Premnaha Pradur Bhave Bhavet Kramaha. In the beginning, this is the translation, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment, attains steadiness and self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further forward to attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love for God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life, end quote. And Prabhupada concludes, in the prema stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, by the slow process of devotional service under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustrations that result in void philosophy. Then one can ultimately attain to the abode of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This is one of my favorite purports of all time, and throughout all of Prabhupada's books. Usually when I lecture, I like to emphasize the fact that Srila Prabhupada is transparent via media, as we say. What does that mean? He is just presenting what he has received from his own Guru Janas. And he is giving us his own purports, by and large, mainly just paraphrase whatever has been explained before him by his own predecessor acharyas. This verse is not like that. That is the beauty of it. Usually that would be a disqualification, but in this case it's not so. Why is that? Because only Srila Prabhupada could have written this purport, which also itself could only have been written in the 20th century. Because it squarely addresses our situation in this material world right now and what we can do about it. First of all, Srila Prabhupada very carefully and repetitively, if you've noticed, explains to us what exactly our conditional existence is, and then he gives us the positive alternative, what to do about it. Our conditional existence is that we are attached to sense gratification. We are afraid of anything that might threaten that sense gratification, or of the great unknown, which is, especially Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is very fearsome because it's totally subjective. Almost totally subjective, although it's scientific, but it's very difficult to really It's individually experienced. So that can be frightening also. And we're frustrated or we're disgusted maybe by all the things that we've seen, all the things that we've heard, both good and bad, about so-called spiritual life. So these things attack anybody who wants to be spiritual in this world. And no one is going to come to save you. Practically speaking, Rupa Goswami has said, it's like an ocean of false conclusions. And all these, so-called scholars and yogis and babas and avatars and swamis and even bhaktas, they're like so many sharks and so many aquatics that are ready to swallow you up. Whales and sharks and whatever is out there in the ocean. So how fortunate we are that Prabhupada has given us an alternative ocean. As your own beloved Vaisheshika Prabhu, who's usually sitting in this seat, I have to offer my respects because he very kindly pointed out for all of us what is the constituency of this ocean of material existence. Anybody know what I'm thinking of? It's a quote from the 4th canto, which appears in his family business book. The ocean of material existence consists of the tears of all the suffering people within it. We're all drowning in this ocean of material existence. And we're drowning in our own tears and in other people's tears. And nobody's going to save you. They don't even care to save you. They're going to exploit you. We were talking about this in Folsom this morning. Just like a bucket of crabs. Who says this? I think it's Ashish Nandi or somebody said, when you have a bucket full of crabs, one of the crabs manages to crawl out, and what do the other crabs do? They pull him right back in again. इसलिए डॉक्टर कपिलावात्स्यायन ने कहा कि इस भारतीय लोगों, खासकर भारतीय लोगों का स्थायी भाव क्या है? ईर्ष्या है, ईर्ष्या. मतलब कि one great scholar of Rasa Shastra, actually she knows all these things. She later became a politician for God only knows what reason, but she said that the constitutional attitude of all Indians in particular is envy. That's why we see this guy, my neighbor gets the Lexus, I've got to have it now. Otherwise, he's going to have one up on me, right? Or, he's got this position, as Prabhupada says, he gives this example. In Kolkata, I think it was, one man was sitting on the high court bench, Supreme Court justice, and, some friends were talking and said, he's Mr. Mukherjee's on the high court bench. And, oh, really? No, but he can't be getting a salary. We don't like. Sridhar Swami defines envy as inability to tolerate when somebody else rises. Parotkarsha asahana. When somebody else is shining, you can't stand that. That's envy. We all suffer from it, actually. And it's not that we're envious of other people. We're actually envious of the Supreme Person. And we're so envious of that Supreme Person, we can't even admit that he's a person half the time, right? We've been discussing. 80, 90% of the time, people cannot even admit that there is such a Supreme Person. Either directly they deny it, like the atheists do and our Marxist friends who are invading every facet of public life in North America right now, or they just insidiously or indirectly imply that there can be no such person by taking shelter of some pseudo-philosophy like Mayavada, Advaita, and other nihilistic Bauddha Dharma and other nihilistic philosophies. But either way, the very last thing anybody wants in this world is a person who's better than themselves, isn't it? That's why we reject. So this is our unfortunate disease, as Prabhupada has said, I think at least twice in this purport. This is a diseased condition of life. To be fearful, to be attached on one hand to all the sense gratification. Actually, you notice, Srila Prabhupada, as if he's purposely directing this purport to persons who are ostensibly searching for spiritual life, Prabhupada, he doesn't really dilate so much on this attachment factor. Did you hear it in his purport? What does this raga thing all about? What is it? He doesn't really get into it because it's assumed. We all know what that is. That's the default 90% of the time. We're all just attached to sense gratification. But even if we are looking for some kind of religious or spiritual life, it is liable to be perverted in these ways. Either we will become frightened if it gets too personal, or we become confused or frustrated or angry that, there's so much I don't understand, and there's so many things that I'm seeing that are contradictory and don't add up, etc., etc. All right, so this is what Prabhupada has very kindly done for us in this purport, and he then gives us the positive alternative. We can be pulled out of this ocean of tears, which is material, the ocean of material existence, and we can be placed into the ocean of transcendental bliss, the ecstasy, the transcendental taste of serving Bhagavan. Not Bhagavan, but Krishna. In Vrindavan, where I live, nobody really calls him Bhagavan. They call him Kanhaiya, or Shyam, or Gopal, because that is Krishna's own personal place. We're getting personal here, aren't we? It's very personal, actually. And to shield himself from, those undesirables who may not have the best of motives, Krishna has his whole facade of Bhagavan. But in Vrindavan, he doesn't care a fig about being Bhagavan. What does he care about instead? Yes, devotees. That's why he calls his own abode what? Goloka, cow world. It's all about the cows who are his beloved devotees. You see? And what does Krishna, natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, ityadi. We hear from Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the supreme absolute truth in Upanishadic language. What does he have to do all day? Nothing. He has no karya. Karya is the Sanskrit word. What do Hindi mein usko kaj bolte hain na? To kaj, this is a Prakritic form of the same word. Something that you got to do. You have to go to Chromecast, or you have to go to, who else is here? I don't know. All these companies we're seeing. Expedia, Google, all these places we see them on from the freeway. So this is called Kaj. Krishna doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to fight the traffic. He doesn't have to pay insurance bills. He doesn't get traffic tickets. He doesn't have envious co-workers at work. He doesn't have, problems. He is nothing to do except give love to his devotees. And his devotees are defined by those who want nothing to do other than to give love to him. This is purity, my friends. And this is where we want to go, because you can have all the money in the world, you can have the best car, you can have the nicest neighborhood, house, first-class mansion, and all the prestige you want, and all the friends you want, popularity, you can eat anything you want, you can do anything you want. How does it sound if you can have all of it, but no love? Raise your hand if you're interested. See, not one person. All of us ultimately want this love. So here it is. And it's free. The best things in life are free, they say. So this is Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's offer, that he is, Rupa Goswami hit the nail on the head when he said, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Nama. The Lord is so kind that despite all of our offenses and despite the fact that it's Kali Yuga and we're fighting like anything just to become human beings, he's giving us this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Yogyana mattam bhuvanam dayalur ulaghayanapya kramot pramattam swaprema samphat suthayad bhuteham Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mumum Prapadye, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said. He's he's giving the most lowest of all people, the most unqualified, disqualified people, the very highest epitome of spiritual life. And he's doing it for free. Who can be more merciful than this? Rupa Goswami in his Lagu Bhagavatamritam has taken great pains to show us that how Krishna is the most merciful form of the Lord. And we know from third canto of Bhagavatam, the Putana came to kill him. And yet he gave her not only liberation, but a position in the spiritual world. And all of us, we may or may not be wanting to kill him, but he's ready to give to us also because he's in his most merciful form here and now as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there are very few deities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are as beautiful as the one in our presence today. And don't forget that by the divine grace of Srila Prabhupada, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's foremost devotee, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu invited these deities here, and we're all deriving so much benefit. I mean, to see these forms of the Lord every day, I can't even imagine. But, all right, so we're diving into the ocean of Bhakti Rasa Amrita, the nectar of Bhakti Rasa. Instead of this Adi Rasa or, hellish Rasa that we have to eat here in this mature world, we're diving into the nectar of devotion. That is coming by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's foremost servant, Rupa Goswami. And he's given us the stages because Pradurbhave bhavet kramaha. It has to go stage by stage. What's the first stage? Anybody? New person, please tell me. Not the people who are reading every day, but somebody who has been listening to this lecture. You might have missed it because we went through it like the breeze, but Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha Atha Bhajana Kriya Ityadi means in the beginning we have to have at least a little faith. Raise your hand if you have faith. Yeah, some of you are shy, but everybody actually has faith. Some people say, no, I don't have faith. No, everybody has faith. How much faith does everyone have? Everyone has 100% faith. But where are they putting it? Some of the faith is over here, some of the faith is in the wrong place, right? So whatever faith you have, Rupa Goswami says, you invest it where? Sadhu Samagama. How many people here went to Sadhu Sangha retreat in Dallas, Texas recently? I'll just see. I never saw so many happy people dancing and spinning in ecstasy as I saw this year at Sadhu Sangha retreat, which Indranil Swami said was the best one ever. I've gone to most of them in the last decade. And the primary characteristic that struck me about the Sadhu Sangha retreat this year is that it seems like at least 50% of the participants were under 20 years of age. So lots of exuberance there. And just really nice to see that kind of ananda. People just diving and jumping and playing in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is exactly what Rupa Goswami had hoped. So this kind of association, we should invest our faith there. Dive in. Actually, since we're on the ocean metaphor here, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, as opposed to the Bhava Sindhu. So Rupa Goswami says there are so many aquatics swimming in that ocean. Who are the aquatics swimming in that ocean? Huh? In the Bhava Sindhu, in the material ocean, the aquatics swimming there we've already described. They're all the rascals who are out to eat you up, right? And in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what do we get instead? All the devotees. All happy little fishies swimming in the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. What happens if you're a happy little fishy swimming in San Francisco Bay? If you're too close to the surface, you've all seen the pelicans, right? They come down like that, you're gone. But if you're, and therefore Prabhupada said actually we should be deep water fish. We should dive deep into this ocean of Bhakti Rasa Amrita. And if we do that, then what happens next? We are naturally engaged. Sadhu Sangha means, Prabhu, please join us in Kirtan. Prabhuji, Mataji, please come to Srimad Bhagavatam class. Can you make a garland? Would you like to cook the next offering? Here, take prasadam instead. Adi adi is unlimited engagement in what we call bhajana kriya. What happens when we do that? When we engage in the activities of bhajan, what happens? It's not hard. You just have to follow the verse. It's right here in the purport. This is an open book test. So, anartanivritti, all the inauspicious things that are haunting us like ghosts within our heart, or all the filthy black stuff that we've not cleaned out yet. And that stuff all gets cleansed automatically from bhajana kriya in good association. Then we're nishtha, we're fixed in devotion. And when we're fixed, then we get a real taste. The taste that we're having now, this is just the introductory taste. What do they call that part? The little movie, they like 2-3 minutes to get you to go and... Trailer, yes. So this is just the trailer. This Sunday feast kind of stuff, this is just the trailer. The real taste comes when you're doing this every day. Every day. Hearing every day, chanting every day, following every day. Santushta satatam yogi, he says. You have to be a yogi all the time, not just in the morning, all the time. Then, anartanivritti syat, tato nishtha, and ruchistata, atasaktish. Then you become attached. Actually, Prabhupada used the word for this, addicted, in a positive sense. It beats the daylights out of fentanyl, which is your alternative. So when you have this asakti, that will mature into bhava. And this is what Krishna is mentioning in this verse. What does he say in the last line? Puta mad bhavam agataha. They all arrived. All of them. Bahovo. How many are there? Many. Many. This is plural. Bahavaha. Plural of bahu. Bahu means many. So he says in the past, many of them did this. How did they do it? By taking shelter of me. And how do you take shelter of Krishna? What is it that purifies you specifically according to this verse? Just look at the Sanskrit, folks. It's right there. Just see which word I haven't mentioned yet. Bahavo? Blank, yes. Jnana tapasya. Why is knowledge austere? Jnana tapas means the austerity of knowledge. What is it about knowledge that's austere? Anybody who's read the commentaries, you know already. Number one, you have to pick up the book and read it. That's the first austerity. Even though you'd rather, check out YouTube or read CNN or whatever you do as an alternative to Bhagavad-gita, but, pick up Bhagavad-gita instead. And there's a joke about this, Bhagavad-gita as it is. You've all heard that joke. Don't just leave it shrink wrapped. Open the shrink wrap, open the book, see what it says, check it out. And then when that is the first austerity, because it takes little time and attention. These books are not so easy to read. Anybody who has read Prabhupada's books, that you have to think about what he says. Otherwise, it's easy to space out. You have to invest. That is an austerity. Austerity number one. There are 3 levels of austerity that I have found, at least. And 2 of those are mentioned by our acharyas as well. So the first one is you have to acquire that knowledge. Second aspect of this austerity is, what do you do once you acquire this knowledge? Once you keep hearing all these things, then what do you have to do? You have to make a decision, don't you? My godbrother Nitai-chan, he's a Navadvip Dhamavasi by birth. So he gave this analogy. When you're in an elevator in downtown San Francisco, what do they call that? Transamerica Tower, the big pyramid. So let's say you're going to the 50th floor. I hope there are 50 floors. Then, the elevator door opens. What are you going to do? You have to make a choice, right? You can stay in the elevator if you want. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, right? But generally it's understood that if you've pushed the 50 button, you have to get out. So human life is like that. this door will not stay open forever. You've only got maybe 100 years. Most likely less than that. So while you can, the devotees printed up a card when I was in Seattle. These are all IT professionals. What does IT stand for? You must have known by now. No, Baba. Depending on your community, right now, Amerikame Telugu ka akraman ho raha hai na, to international Telugu. But in those days, it was international Tamil because they all ayers working for Microsoft Corporation in the heyday back in the 1990s in Redmond, Washington. So, I've lost track of what I was saying. That's what happens when you tell too many jokes. But yeah, they printed up a mantra card. So the mantra card said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What did it say? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Then he put a caption underneath. The caption said, please chant this mantra while you can. It's supposed to spur some thought. Govinda Charan designed this, I would think. Was it you, Sundar? I don't know. Maybe somebody there. You remember this? They had that mantra card. So anyway, the point is that you don't have forever. And, sometimes people die very suddenly and very quickly. We all know one or more to whom this has happened. So, while we can, we should take advantage of this sadhu sangha and invest in this process of bhajana kriya and attain this bhava bhakti ultimately. But we have to go through these stages. So after we go through these stages and gain some knowledge, then the tertiary level. After you have heard Bhagavad-gita, you've assimilated the teachings theoretically, and you have at least tried to apply them to your life practically. It is very practical. It's not just up here. All the other groups you go to, they're going to give you some infotainment on the weekend, right? Because that's what it's about. It's this only. But bhakti is happening practically. You have to do something. So many Tamils here, I think. I spend a lot of time in Tamil Nadu, so I know. You'll recognize the name of Velukuri Krishnan, famous Kathakar. So he has a trust, it's called what? Kinchit Karam Trust. Kinchit Karam. Anybody first-year Sanskrit student knows? It means do something. Do something. He's very fired up in that way. So he was also an engineer, that he's decided to preach Krishna consciousness instead, in his way, Sri Sampradaya. So this is what we have to do while we can. And this is the second austerity of knowledge. Then there's a third austerity. Well, I've actually given it away. But the third austerity is once you have acquired knowledge, once you have applied it in your life, then you have to do something. And what is it that we do? Yeah, we have to give it. Bharata bhumite hoilo manushya janma jar janma shartha kori koro parupakar. This is a V1, V2 construction, we say in grammatical language. Means there's a subordinate verb and there's a main verb. An auxiliary verb and the finite verb. The auxiliary verb means make your life perfect and then do something for others. So you have to do the first thing first. You can't make your life perfect. I mean, you can't preach to others and then make your life perfect. That also works, actually. It does work. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told us, first you become Krishna conscious, and then you can actually help others. Because you can't give what you don't have. Everyone repeat, you can't give what you don't have. Take that home and think about it every morning. In 1 week, you'll be a better person. So, this is the tertiary austerity of knowledge. And Krishna says, by this threefold austerity of knowledge, you will become purified, and the proof is there. So many people have done this in the past. This morning we were discussing Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose disappearance date is today, correct? So, yesterday. Yeah, I'm on such a whirlwind of programs that I can't even remember which city I'm in half the time. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he saw that this whole tradition was practically dried up by the 19th century. He had to do something. Velukuri Krishna would be proud of him. And he published so many books, he wrote so many songs, he was a high court judge, and he was in charge of Jagannath Puri temple, and he had 13 kids. So what's your excuse? I know you get this all the time from Vaisheshika. He's big on Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he should be, because this personality was incredible. And he did what he did. He just practically single-handedly, he effected an entire renaissance of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the midst of the Bengal Renaissance. So his son was no less Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, very powerful preacher. And yes. So he inspired our own Srila Prabhupada, who is similarly pushing on us. And Prabhupada told us, just as I'm doing, you do the same thing. And this is our obligation. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means when he says, Bharata bhumite hoilo manusya janma jar janma sharthak kori korapara. You have to do this. And you are the most qualified persons in the world to do this. I used to tell them, remember Sundar? In Microsoft Corporation, you people have the system requirements to run this software. Because, American, we don't even have a word for dharma in English, is it not? Because the concept isn't there. When we first translated Prabhupada's books into Chinese, there's no history of anything theistic in China for the last 4,000 years. So what do you do with Prabhupada's books in such a language? Not so easy. So similarly, the English language requires this dharma in order to come to at least a human platform on which we can practice Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada instructed us to do like this. He said it was the remaining 50% of his mission, in fact. So, you can't expect that the Westerners are going to do this, only you can do this, and please take it seriously. Because this was Srila Prabhupada's request. In the beginning, he was pushing on us like this, and you all receive the blessings of Srila Prabhupada in full sets of his blessings, and you have an obligation. That's the secondary austerity of knowledge. You have to do something. And you have to help others. The future belongs to India, and the future belongs to the NRIs as well. Because the future is Krishna consciousness by the divine grace of Lord Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our entire Guru Parampara. So, this is such a wonderful verse, as I said. I explained why. Normally, Srila Prabhupada is just repeating what he has received in Parampara, and here he's not just repeating anymore, but he's actually, the entire purport is completely original. You won't find it in any of the predecessor commentaries, because it just had to be said by Srila Prabhupada and to us. So let us enter very deeply into the spirit of Srila Prabhupada's positive alternative in this purport, dive deep into the ocean of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Okay, I've lost track of time, but I'm late, sorry. Okay, so maybe announcements. Yeah, we're ready for MSF offering, whatever that is.
Hare Krishna.
Microsoft Foundation. You got them all to become devotees. Okay, please continue. Thank you very much. All glories to Prabhupada.
We thank Mukunda Prabhu.
Typical ISV greeting. Hero!
This is indeed a blessing of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada that we are blessed with the Mukunda Prabhu's present at ISV, and he's filling in a gap of a separation of our dear Vaisheshika Prabhu. So let's again once more thank Sri Murti Mataji as well as the Mukunda Prabhu for being at ISV. Next, we're going to have MSF offering, which is also known as monthly Sankirtan festival. So on this is going to be Bhaktivinoda Thakur offering. We will be offering to Srila Prabhupada. So we request everyone to quickly put away your cushions in the back of the room and move the chairs. And all the mothers can go to the right side, and all the Prabhus can come to the left side of Srila Prabhupada.
By the way, now that I have a chance, I would like to thank you all for making such wonderful garlands. Not only me, but many, many others. We're appreciating at the Sadhu Sangha retreat as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. May I get two Prabhus to help us to roll the carpet, please? We need two devotees to roll up the carpets, and all the mothers on the right side, and all the Prabhus on the left side. Let's face Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So next we're going to have Jai Madhava Prabhu making an offering on behalf of Bhakti community.
Hare Krishna. If you could hear my voice, please raise your hands. Who can hear me, please raise your hands. Who cannot hear me, please raise your hands. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept our most humble obeisances at the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. All glories to Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We are gathered here on the most auspicious occasion of the to offer the results of our monthly Sankirtan festival of 300 book distributors. In the song O Vaishnava Thakur from Sharanagati, Bhakti Vinod Thakur expresses the mood that we all want to develop. And like offering a drop of Ganges water to the Ganges, we can offer that mood in his words to him so that he will give us a drop of faith in the holy name. Ekaki amara nahi paya bal hari nama sankirtane tumi kripa kori shraddha bindu diya deho Krishna namadhane. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtana of holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just one drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara sakatiya che. Amito kangal, Krishna Krishna boli dhaitava pache pache. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I am simply running behind you, shouting, Krishna, Krishna. The Bhakti community is a community for spiritual seekers who are interested in learning about the timeless wisdom and practices of Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love and gratitude. With blessings of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu and Her Grace Nirakula Mataji, the Bhakti community continued to inspire newcomers to pursue Bhakti through various weekly programs. This MSF, Bhakti On program continued the lessons from the Bhagavad-gita every week that was attended by around 30 people. The topics included Befriend Your Mind, Ancient Secrets of Controlling the Mind, and Opulence of the Absolute. On Thursdays, Bhakti Circle, Discover Yourself, a 32-week program that systematically introduces Bhakti Yoga to newcomers, was conducted. The topics covered were Perceiving the Spiritual World, Spiritual Relationships, and Time, and Guru, a friend, philosopher, and spiritual guide. The session was attended by around 20 people every week. Success Sadhana continued to inspire corporate newcomers who find much needed spiritual nourishment at the end of their hectic work week. The topics included Keys to Successful Relationships, Frustration, the Doorway to Profound Insight and Happiness, and Learn How to Do What Matters Most. The program was attended by around 50 participants weekly from more than 10 corporations. On Sundays, the Women's Circle program continued every week, discussing Bhagavad-gita, focusing on opulence of the Absolute, that was attended by around 10 women. Comunidad Bhakti, the Bhakti community for Spanish-speaking people, continued to meet weekly with newcomers for various Bhakti classes, including Bhakti Circle, Japa Circle, and Bhagavatam reading. The sessions were attended by around 35 members. We are very happy to share that Comunidad Bhakti has started second batch of Bhakti Circle, this MSF. Bhakti community's sole purpose is to associate newcomers with Vaishnavas so that newcomers can progress in Bhakti Yoga. Vaishnava Sangha Lava, or VSL, is a metric that measures how many times a newcomer comes in association with a Vaishnava through a devotional service class. For this MSF, Comunidad Bhakti's goal was to achieve 594 VSLs. We are very happy to report that Comunidad Bhakti surpassed the goal and achieved 2,550 VSLs. Around 60 newcomers attended Comunidad Bhakti programs. For this MSF, Bhakti Community Silicon Valley's goal was to achieve 1,089 VSLs. We are very happy to report that Bhakti Community Silicon Valley surpassed the goal and achieved 2,098 VSLs. Sixty newcomers attended the Bhakti Community program this MSF. We are eternally indebted and grateful to all the volunteers, room leaders, speakers, mentors, and book distributors who work tirelessly every day to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's mission and spread Krishna consciousness in the Western world. We also want to thank each of our donors who help us maintain Bhakti community. We seek blessings from His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu, all senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and all Vaishnavas, so that we can attempt to follow Lord Sri Chaitanya's instruction to inspire newcomers to take a path of bhakti, if Lord Krishna so desires. And finally, our most heartfelt gratitude to His Grace Vaishika Prabhu and Her Grace Nirakula Mataji. It's only due to their presence, leadership and motivation that the Bhakti community exists and is thriving. Bhakti community gets the opportunity to serve newcomers due to the tireless efforts of the book distribution team who introduced Bhakti community to these newcomers. Now Malini Mataji will present the book distribution results.
Following in the footsteps of our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Team ISV tried to cover various spots to distribute books. The goal for this MSF was to have at least 300 devotees participate in this MSF. The highlights of this MSF are: Kids Sankirtan team enthusiastically participated in this marathon, and here are their scores. Kids Sankirtan team accrued 5,065.23 in book points, and they distributed 59 Srimad Bhagavatam sets and 2 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets. And they collected $9,606.80 in Lakshmi. The Little Krishna Kids team held their yearly event in Fremont, and for the first time, they got sponsorships to distribute 16 Srimad Bhagavatam sets in Africa. They raised $2,400 in Lakshmi. Team Motel Gita participated in New Jersey Trade Ahoa Regional Trade Show and Florida Regional Trade Show events. Many hotel owners placed orders for Bhagavad-gita, and they also had Motel Gita conference call to provide an overview to the new devotees. In total, Motel Gita distributed 18,125 books, which includes Bhagavad-gita, Higher Taste, and other small books. Sadhu Sangha Festival was organized in Dallas, Texas this year, and with the kind permission from the organizers, Team ISV distributed 74 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, 6 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets, and collected $15,473 in Lakshmi. Western Sankirtan team, whose prime focus is to distribute books on the street, went to various venues, like some of them are Oakland, Berkeley Downtown, India Metro Milpitas, Muirwoods, Sadhu Sangha Traveling Sankirtan Team, Sunnyvale Art and Wine Festival, Juneteenth Festival in San Jose and San Francisco, and many Indian grocery stores. One Grihastha couple went on traveling Sankirtan and attended the Sierra Nevada Music Festival. In total, Western Sankirtan team distributed 53 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, 21 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets, and they accrued 10,778.75 book points. And they raised $25,441.80 in Lakshmi. As part of the Google Serve Month, which is June, Google allowed its employees to take time off from work and participate in voluntary activities at a non-profit organization. The corporate Sankirtan team is focusing on volunteer events this year and organized 5 volunteering events. These covered activities such as book packing, baking, and flower decoration. 60 Google employees of various ethnicity registered for these events. Congregation members from various departments helped, and as a result, more than 2,000 Trimurti sets were packed, 1,000 cookies baked, and flower vases made. Participants receive gifts along with your book, Srila Prabhupada. Our traveling Sankirtan team to India, headed by SKP Prabhu, distributed 26 Srimad Bhagavatam sets at a Sunday feast lecture in ISKCON Miapur, Hyderabad. ISV devotees again generously donated in response to requests made by His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu during the Sunday feast festivals. As we make this offering of the MSF results, we are pleased to report that all the goals have been successfully met, surpassed, and smashed. Regarding the number of devotees, more than 384 devotees participated this MSF, surpassing the goal of 300 devotees. With respect to books, Team ISV accrued 34,568.75 book points, which includes 339 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, out of which 149 were sponsored. Sorry, there is some correction, some last minute additions that came in. Sorry, Srila Prabhupada, reading that book points again. We accrued 36,440.75 book points, and we distributed 365 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And Team ISV raised 88,384.60 in Lakshmi, out of his 36,750 was pledged. Our hope is that Thakur Bhaktivinoda is pleased with these results. We thank our Sankirtan devotees for their continued dedication and enthusiasm to carry out your mission, Srila Prabhupada, despite so many obstacles. And we also thank our generous donors to help to spread the movement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We express our immense gratitude to His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, Her Grace Nirakula Mataji, His Grace Mukunda Prabhu, and all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples for inspiring us to continue in this mission. And we have a request that with the inspiration from His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, we are marching towards our goal of distributing at least 3,000 Bhagavatam sets by Bhadra Purnima. We set out our goal, but now we are praying for your blessing, Srila Prabhupada, and the blessings of all previous Acharyas and Thakur Bhaktivinoda to fulfill our goals. MSF of 300 book distributors ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narsingha Deva ki, Gaura Premanande.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You could also express, if you would like to, their efforts for the Sankirtan, if you want to say something.
Sorry?
If you'd like to express the appreciation for their efforts, or you can.
Speechless.
All right, we'll go into it.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandre Shankha gaje, ghanta Srimad Srila Bhai Chandralin Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Thakur Hai Das ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Yamunamayi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Rani ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtana ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. ISKCON DVD Samsthavakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Balaram Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Narasingha Dev ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Happy birthday. Namaste Narasimha.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We welcome you all to the Sunday Feast Festival here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley on a warm day. So let's give a big round of applause to everyone who has joined us today here. Hare Krishna. We'll also like to thank all the devotees who have joined us online. So let's give them a big round of applause as well. Today's discourse on Krishna Katha was brought to us by His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu and His Grace Sundarananda Prabhu, who started the lecture. So let's give them a big round of applause for the Hari Hari Bo. Hari Bo. We'll also like to thank His Grace Mukunda Datta Prabhu for leading an ecstatic Gaura Arti and a Narsimha Arti. Hari Bo. Anyone coming here for the first time to the ISV? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, we have a large turnout of first timers here. Thank you all for coming, and if there is anything can be of service, please let us know. We will be happy to assist you in any way we can. Okay? Thank you. And if you like to subscribe to our email list, we send out an email about upcoming events. You can talk to me. My name is Sri Gopal Das or Hanspriya Mataji, right there. So we will be happy to add you to the email list. So what's coming up next week? We have an exciting event that's coming up next week. Starting with, there is a Harinam, a monthly Sankirtan Harinam that we perform at Palo Alto. And it's on Friday, the June 23rd, starting at 6:59 p.m. at the University Avenue, intersection of University Avenue and Emerson in Palo Alto. And the word is that His Grace Madhava Prabhu will be joining the Harinam Sankirtan. So His Grace Mahadava Prabhu and his wife, Her Grace Radhika Mataji, they will be visiting us this weekend. So we will have a Sunday program led by His Grace Madhava Prabhu, and Her Grace Radhika Mataji will be presenting a talk on Saturday morning. Right? So hope to see you all on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we just got the notification that the first ever Rath Yatra in Santa Barbara is gonna get held on June 24th at 10:30 a.m. So this is the first ever Rath Yatra at Santa Barbara. So if you need more information, if you are in the area or you want to join, please, there are some flyers out there. You can take some flyers with you. Okay. So that's it for the announcements. And for sponsorship, we have a very special sponsorship today, and that's by His Grace Sundarananda Prabhu and Her Grace Vishaka Mataji are sponsoring on the occasion of Sadhu Vrindavan's 16th birthday. Sadhu Vrindavan. Hare Krishna, Sadhu Vrindavan.
Prabhu.
How do you feel to be 16?
I still can't believe it. I still feel like I'm like 13.
Well, we see you when you were small. You know, you were expert in your mridanga player. You could not even hold the two sides of the mridanga, and the sound that you used to generate with so tiny arms was like amazing mridanga player. So thank you for all the services that you do, and a big inspiration to all the youths here at ISV. So we pray for your spiritual progress, and you have a very high taste in Kirtan and very dedicated to your Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Sadhu Vrindavan. Would you like to say a few words?
I want to thank the ISV community so much, because without all of you, without Vaisheshika Maharaj, without all the Prabhupada disciples, Mukunda the Prabhu, this would I wouldn't be. Well, I'm already very fallen, but I pray that I can get some spiritual mercy, and it wouldn't be possible without any of you. So please bless me. Thank you.
Is this a small gift? Hare Krishna. Thank you. And now we have an announcement from the Sunday school. Raseshwari Mataji would make the announcements.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. My name is Raseshwari Leela Devi Dasi. Sukeshwari Mataji and myself, we serve as the servant leaders of the Sunday school. Sunday school has over 140 children. And now is the time when it's a summer break. We are starting re-enrollments or for returning students today. So those who have been students in the last year, they get priority registrations. So that is open today. We will on Tuesday, we will open up registrations to all the community. So newcomers who want to register their students for Sunday school. Sunday school is based on the scriptures. We teach from the Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada's life. All the scriptures are related to, the instructions related to all the scriptures that we have in our Sunday classes and Saturday classes. And since we are growing, we are also launching Saturday school. Saturday school will be in the mornings in parallel to the Bhagavatam classes, which means it will have classes from 8:30 onwards all the way until 11:15. So students who are not getting a chance because of the lack of spots that we have in Sundays, on Sunday school, we will open up the Saturday school spots for them. So if anyone is interested, please feel free to reach out to us. And if you are going to be on the mailing list, you will get our emails with all the details, how to register, and any other questions you may have. So thank you so much.
And today is also a special day of Gundija Marjana temple, where the devotees clean the Gundija temple. So we have an opportunity for everyone to help in the cleaning services. So if you like to participate in the cleaning, please reach out to me or Hansapriya or any devotees in the kitchen. Okay. And also at 7 o'clock, there is a special gift for fathers on the occasion of Father's Day. So if you like to hang out after Prasadam, please, we will, I think, probably somewhere in the parking lot, we'll have some gifts for all the fathers. Okay? Very well. And today's feast is cooked by Abhijit Prabhu and his parents, Brunali Mataji, Preeti Mataji, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu, Dhriti, Radhika, Pranavi, and Tadiya Seva Prabhu, Deepali Mataji, Nitai Kirtan Vihari Prabhu, Mayank Prabhu, and the cooking team was led by Her Grace Nilachal Mataji. So let's give them a big round of applause. Okay. So now we will go to Prasad Sevya prayers.
Sharira Vidyaja